Welcome to Bridging Generations in Sales and Outreach, where leaders go to learn to connect, to stay relevant, and learn that their reputation will drive revenue. I'm Butch Nicholson. I'm your host, and thank you for being here. I think this is like our 32nd or 33rd show, so we appreciate everybody that's with us weekly. I have a great guest today that I'm excited to have on the show. We were talking before, and we've probably known each other 15, 20 years. And Trent Phillips, welcome to the show.
Butch, thanks for having me.
So, Trent, let's just hop right into it. Tell us how you got to where you are now.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been
Or
around a
tell us where
while.
you are now and back up and tell us how you got there.
Okay. Well, I'm the CEO of Bizography Inc. We're a full service web design digital marketing company. We've been in business for 26 years. And so our business is really focused on helping small businesses get customers. But that's not the way I started out. I started out a long time ago, 1986 to be specific, in sales in the software business, and started out in sales as a sales rep. Did that for a long time, moved into sales management, then went into product marketing. And so did that for about 15 years and got tired of riding airplanes and eating hotel food and chasing rental cars. And so I stopped that and started Bizography, 1999.
And so tell us about just for a minute how Bizography got from where it was when you started to where it is now.
Well, we started as a web design company November 1999. Back then, in order to connect to the internet, you needed a 64-bit dial-up modem. And so you would get the do 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 every time you logged onto the internet. And we were building websites back then. It was all HTML, and the infrastructure for the internet wasn't back then what it is today. And so websites would come up in chunks, and so you'd have these screens kind of chunk, bring the information on the screen, and so that was our humble beginning. We had to explain to clients why they needed a website. And I guess one of the things that we realized very early on is that the internet was going to be a big thing. Big companies had all the resources they needed in order to implement the internet. Small businesses didn't. And so we saw that as an opportunity.
Cool. So Trent, you made reference to it. I used to call it carrying the bag.
Absolutely.
Grab my bag on Monday morning and get back on Friday morning, Friday night or Saturday morning, and then do it again.
Right. No, that's what it was. I distinctly remember my first sales job, walking into the office, and they pointed me to a cubicle, and inside that cubicle was a telephone that was wired into the wall, and a phone book. And the idea was that you should start smiling and start dialing.
Yeah.
And so today we take that wired telephone with us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And the phone book doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. I guess there's no reason for one. So Trent, one thing I know, and uh, some of the things we learned early on are still true today, and we built some skills there. And I think the best skill that we built early was how to connect with people. But back then it was pretty much face to face, and know, like, and trust was what I was taught from day one. And I think know, like, and trust is as important now as it was then. Uh, But I do know now with all the digital tools we've had, it's still know, like, and trust, but there's a different way we have to do it. So talk about how y'all do that at Bizography.
Well, you're absolutely right. The idea and the concept of sales today is still the same. What's changed is the platforms and the environment in which you actually sell. And so at Bizography, today everything is built around automation, and sales, just like all the other functions of a business, has been heavily automated. And so we are looking at things like customer journey and how to actually identify the ideal client, and what that ideal client looks like. And then once we find that ideal client, then what are the pain points that they have that we can solve? And so the process is quite different today than it was back in the golden days, but the results are still the same. You still need to connect with people, whether that's it may not be face to face now. It may be over Zoom. It may actually be via email. It may be as a result of a podcast or whatever it is. The environment by which you actually sell has changed, but the nuts and bolts of selling are still the same.
Yep. So you mentioned the customer journey, and I just always talk to salespeople about this. The customer journey has changed, and it's changed in a way that's not really good for salesmen, but it's changed. And the reason it's changed, when you and I started, if a customer wanted some information, they had to call us. And now, with these in their hand, they can find out everything they want without us.
That's
And
right.
One of the big consulting firms, I think it was McKinsey, did a report 2 years ago, I guess, and said the average buyer has 75% of the information they need before they'll talk to a salesperson.
That's true. And I tell people all the time, the biggest use of the internet is research. And so you can find out as much as you can possibly find out about a product or a service online. And you can narrow down your search as to who, based off of what you see, these are the kind of people that I want to talk to. That's why our service, being a web designer, is very important, because one of the first things that potential prospect is going to look at today is a website. And depending on what they see or what they don't see, they're either going to make an inquiry, or they're going to leave and go somewhere else. And so that customer journey, which used to be always a phone call, now that first step may actually be visiting a website. And so they don't have to communicate with you unless they actually want to. So it's kind of like the roles have been switched. You can cold call back in the day, and you could get people on the phone. Today, if you cold call, you're not going to get anybody on the phone. And so there's this built-in demand for products and services still, but the customer now has the impetus as to when they want to reach out. But there's some things that you can do as a business to help.
Yep. So Trent, one thing I always have believed, pardon my voice, I'm getting over bronchitis, so I'm doing the best I can. One of the things I know, and I think salespeople miss this sometimes, and the way I say it is, you've got to meet buyers where they are, not where you wish they were. So if it's somebody that wants to see a website, you got to have a good website. If it's somebody that wants emails, you got to do emails. If it's somebody that wants to do Zoom calls, you got to do Zoom calls. And again, it really doesn't matter what the salesperson wants to do. It matters what the customer wants.
That's true. And so today you'll find that, and we talk with a lot of small business owners and small businesses about doing just that, is let's find out not only who that client is and what the profile of that client is, but where do they live? What geography are they in? Where do they actually go to find products and services like we offer? And then we actually have to go out and make sure that we're in those places in order to be seen. Because if you're not seen, I used to tell sales reps all the time, if you're not on the long list, you can't get on the short list. and so, we got to make sure that we're on the long list, and that's just being in the right place at the right time.
There's there was another study, or it may have been in the same study, and this is kind of alarming for a salesperson, but it goes to what your sales process is. And the report said that 3% of your target customer base is in the market at any given time. Only 3%. So how do you work with your clients on dealing with that?
Well, one of the things that I think is one of the big opportunities that I see a lot of businesses today miss is that you're right. That 3% of opportunities that are out in the marketplace are typically people that are new customers for you. The big opportunity is with the people that you've already engaged with, your existing customers. And a lot of times your existing customers can lead you and refer you to some of that 3%. And so we spend and we see very successful companies really engaging with their client base to not only sell additional products and services, but to actually use their existing customer base as a way to find new opportunities, referrals, reviews that can actually help, gate openers, people that actually are in line with your business that can refer you over and over again. And so we really promote to our clients that one of the first things is that let's actually go after your existing customers and find out as much information as we can about them and profile them. And then let's go and find people out in the marketplace that look like them.
Yep. Well, and also, Trent, one thing I'm known for my sales career is the easiest person to sell is a happy customer.
Oh, for sure. Sales cycles a lot shorter. The barriers to entry are a lot shorter because you've been down that road before. And today, that what we call re-engagement of the client base can happen in newsletters. It can happen in blog posts. It can happen in emails. Constantly touching that existing customer over time will yield opportunities. We think that a good customer over the life of the relationship with us should yield us at least 5 good opportunities, new opportunities.
That's great. So I don't usually read anything on this show, but I'm going to read this because Trent said this, and I thought it was great. So I believe you said fundamentals still win if you apply them with intention. and you mentioned the acronym that you use around that is MANACT, MANACT.
Right. I when I was in sales, a young salesman, it kind of one of my sales managers, was trying to, teach me the nuts and bolts of selling. And he said, look, um, take this acronym and write it down on a piece of paper. And every sales call that you make, what I want you to do is just try to find out these 6 things. And the acronym was called MANACT, MANACT. And the M stood for money. The A stood for authority, which means, are you talking to the person that can make the decision? The N stood for need. Does the customer have a real need for what you're actually trying to sell? And then there was another A for the ability to implement. And what that meant is that if you've got a product or a service, can you actually help this client implement that product or service? Okay, can you demonstrate that you can actually implement that product or service to the client? The C stood for competition. Most people, when they're evaluating products and services, they're not just looking at one product or service, they're looking at multiple things. So having some idea of who the competition is a good thing. Helps you actually sell more effectively. And then the last one, the T, was for time frame. When is this customer ready to buy something? And so I use that acronym still to this very day to really understand where this client is in the sales process. And do I have the answers to those 6 questions? And most of the time, when I have those 6 questions answered, the money, the right person, the authority to actually buy it, they have a real need for what we're offering. They have the ability to actually implement and use our product or service. We know who the competition is, and we know the time frame they're looking to buy. Then I have a real prospect, and my sales opportunity of closing that client goes up significantly.
One thing that comes to mind, Trent, when you're talking about that, that's a great acronym. I did some consulting work for some very, very high end financial advisors back in the 2000s, before the crash. And one of the things that I found out, and these were the best guys and women, very few of them had a realistic pipeline. They would have 50 people in their pipeline, but really they had like 12.
Right.
Do you work with your customers on making sure they have a realistic pipeline?
Well, part of the reason why I use this MANAC acronym we just talked about is because it does help you qualify your pipeline. Is this really a true opportunity, or is this, pie in the sky? And one of the things that we try to do in working with clients is make sure that you're selling the products and services that your clients are really looking for. And so in doing that, you're going to help qualify, that potential prospect as to whether they are really serious about buying your product or service. Sometimes we see clients literally try to sell everything right away, and it confuses the client. It delays, the sales process. And if I'm looking for A and you're selling A, B, and C, then that's a problem, because that's not what they really are looking for. And so a lot of times in working with clients, we're trying to help make sure that what they're offering as a solution is a fit for what the client is actually looking for. And that's one of the ways that we actually help our clients make sure that they're selling to real people.
So I'm going to read this too because I want to make sure I get it right. You said your best prospects might already be in your network. So how do you work with your customers around that? Because I agree with that 100%.
Right. Well, we think a lot of times, when you're looking to sell, your existing customers are the easiest people to sell. They're the low hanging fruit on the tree. If they don't have a need for your product or service at the point, then one of the things that we realized is that people like them, people that have the same profile as them, people that actually that look like them, are people that we should probably be selling to. In Facebook advertising, they have this lookalike audiences, and literally, if I'm selling Butch Nicholson, if I can actually take all the characteristics of Butch Nicholson and actually put that in a database and find people that look just like and have the same characteristics as Butch Nicholson, then guess what? The probability of me selling some of those people goes up significantly. And so we're not only looking to sell to our clients, but we're also trying to sell the people that look like our clients.
Yep, that makes sense. That's a good way to say it. So one other question around kind of down this trail. So you use ManAct on someone and you find out that really next April is when they're going to be ready to buy.
Right.
What do you do to make sure they don't forget you between October the 10th and next April?
Well, today, most sales organizations use some type of CRM system that allows them to keep in contact with that client, whether it's an email or a follow-up phone call, 3 months, 6 months down the road. And so most companies use some form of a CRM to keep in contact, but you can actually post stuff out on the internet. You can actually do articles, you can do podcasts, you can do blogs, you can do email newsletters. All of that stuff is a way to touch that potential prospect and keep that prospect, front of mind. It's the old out of sight, out of mind concept. And so if we can do something to keep touching that prospect until next April, then he's not going to forget about us. And what happens a lot of times is that, they may actually be ready to buy something sooner than that.
Yeah. And I also think that's an important time to ask the question, we'd love to work with you in April. How would you like us to stay in touch with you between now and April?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's, sales 101, right? Just making sure that they're in agreement with you that, this is something that we need to continue to pursue as an opportunity.
Excuse me. All right. So Trent, let's get to the big one. AI.
Oh, man.
AI's changed how we work, and it changed how we work really fast. At least for us, we knew kind of AI was out there, and then all of a sudden, ChatGPT came out, and in 90 days, you needed to be an expert. Talk about how you work with your clients on with AI, because there's a balance using AI. It's still got to be personal. It's still got to be human, but there's some great stuff you can get using AI to enhance those kind of communications.
Right. Well, I think, most people need to understand that humans aren't going away. And so we see AI as a huge productivity tool. that can help us actually sell faster, get to the right person faster as it relates to sales. It can help us actually get more intelligence on that customer before we actually make a sales call. It can do a number of things along those lines that can facilitate the sales process. If we can actually identify who our best potential clients are, our sales prospects are, that's wonderful. One of my old sales managers used to say, "Look, your time is more invaluable than the person's time that you're talking to. So you got to make sure that you're actually talking to the right people." And so if AI can help me actually talk to the right people, then that's going to be very beneficial to me. I'm going to be in front of more people that are interested in what I have to say, and thus I'm going to probably actually sell more as a result of that. And so I see AI as a productivity tool to enhance the sales process. People still buy from people.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing.
And people always will. And AI, can't get the prospect to like me. That's a human connection. And I always learned that people buy from people they like and they trust. And so like and trust are two things that AI can't do for you. And so if you can get me in front of the right people, that's great. And I definitely think AI can do that for you. But you still have to actually have that connection to get the like and the trust of that client. And that's just sales 101 all over again.
Yep. This just popped into my head when you said that. But one thing I've always believed is, and this is where salespeople make mistakes. I've made it, so I know that we make them. People don't care what you do until they know who you are.
That's true. That's true. When people can identify with you, then the walls come down between you and them. When we're building websites, we want to build websites around your ideal client. And then we actually do the search engine marketing around that ideal client so that when that person comes to your website, the content on that website speaks to that person. So, we bring down the wall between the company and that customer. And so if I can identify with you, if you're going, hey, as a client or potential client, these guys are talking about me, they're speaking my language, then I'm much more engaged when that happens. And the likelihood of me going from being a suspect to a prospect to a customer goes up significantly.
I also believe, Trent, customers want to know you can solve their problem before they care about how you're going to do it. And I know I've made this mistake. People come in and say, "Hey, we got this." Salespeople come in, "We got this great stuff. It does this and this and this and this," but you haven't told the customer how that was going to either solve a problem they have or make them better than they are. And AI can't do that.
Right. That goes back to the old, ability to implement and demonstrate, what you say your product does. That's where the rubber hits the road. And so you have to be able to show clients that, this is your problem. This is what we're actually recommending as a solution, and this is how it's going to work. And by the way, here it is. Here's it actually working for you. Or we can actually, reference people like them in the same business, have the same problem, that we can actually show, look, we actually implemented this solution. which is the same problem that you have, and they actually got this result. And you can get the same result if you actually choose our solution.
And then comes how much does it cost?
But it always comes down to money.
Yeah.
Whenever I always get a red flag when people go, well, money's not an issue. Money's always an issue. and so when when people go, well, we've got the budget to do this. Well, how much budget do you really have?
Yeah.
And so we really want to. That is a tipping point. But when you're talking about price, that's a good indicator of the interest that the client has in you, and that they are seriously considering your product or service. So I try to get the price as quick as I can, all things being equal, because that tells me that they're interested. But price can't be the only thing that they're interested in. All the other things have to be there. A need has to be there. You have to be able to demonstrate, that you're going to be able to solve that need, and you can solve that need at this price, okay, which is a price that they perceive as something they can actually buy. So all of that stuff is important, but price is always important, but it's not the only factor.
Oh, for sure. And the price doesn't matter if they don't believe it can solve the problem.
That's right. That's right. You've got to solve the problem and be able to demonstrate that you can solve the problem, and do it at a price that they can actually they think is realistic. You can build a website for $1,000, or you can build one for $50,000. Which one's going to solve your problem, and at what price point are you willing to actually pay for? What are you willing to pay for it? It's a big, it comes down to perception.
Yep. So, Trent, as we're kind of getting near the end of the show here, sales is hard, and if you've been in sales for 3 years, you've been successful. But whether it's 3 years, 10 years, 25 years, 45 years in my case, the way things have changed, everybody's kind of on an equal plane. But there are things that have made you successful. But things are changing every day. So how do you work with your customers to make sure that they're using what they have, the skills that they have that are good and made them successful, with what's happening with all the new technology, new digital platforms, new products?
Well, I think you have to, from a sales standpoint, you have to be realistic. I've always been a big believer that technology is an enabler of something. It is not the actual something itself. It's an enabler of something. So it's an enabler of sales, but it's not the actual sales itself. And so sometimes I think we lean too much on technology in selling. At the end of the day, being honest with people in what you can or cannot do. Being sure that you're being a consultant as you're talking to that client, and understanding what their needs are and what we can actually do for them, and this is how it's going to work, and listening to what their issues and what their needs are. Those are the kind of things that, from a sales standpoint, are never going to go away. And when you do what I call the blocking and tackling of sales consistently well, you're going to actually be okay. Whether it's using AI to find that person, or whether it's a cold call, the process is still the same. You've got to connect with people. Yes, you can use technology to connect to the right people a lot easier today. Those things help, absolutely. They can actually help you get your message out there a lot quicker. They can help demonstrate the virtues of your product or service, but still got to be able to connect with people.
Yeah. What I would say, Trent, just kind of pulling that together is whatever you're doing that made you successful, don't stop doing that.
That's right.
Just because that made you successful, and those things are always make you successful, but be open to adapting to the new tools that are available and see where they can help make you better.
Absolutely. The productivity is and being more productive as a salesperson is what every organization wants. We've seen, people that were very successful as relationship type salesmen, and we've seen people be very successful as technical salesmen, where they could actually go in and technically talk about, their product or service. Two totally different approaches. You can be very successful either way. Both can actually use technology to help get you in front of the right people and demonstrate your product or service. But whatever actually got you there, that's what you want to stick with.
So, Trent, as we wrap up here, what would be the one thing you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Well, the business world has changed significantly in the last 20, 25 years, and is about to change even more. And so the only thing that's constant in business today is change. And so being adaptive to what comes along that can actually help you sell better, which can actually help you communicate the virtues of your product or service better, the things that can help you identify the profile of that client that you're looking for, that you're going to actually be able to sell a higher percentage of the time better. Those are the things you want to use and you want to gravitate to. They're going to help you be more successful as a salesperson.
That's great. Well, Trent, I really appreciate you being on the show today. That was some great stuff. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, just email me at tphillips@bizography, bizography.com, or either just go to our website at bizography.com.
Great. Well, I'm sure Trent feels the same way I do with this. Feel free to get in touch with us. My information is down there. I promise you this. If I can't help you, I'll tell you I can't help you. But there's a good chance I know somebody who can, and I'll be happy to refer them to you. But Trent, I really appreciate you being on the show, and I appreciate everyone watching or listening. And this is Bridging Generations in Sales and Outreach, where leaders learn to drive revenue through their reputation.